Alright, welcome to Exotic Face Sounds, the workshop where we learn about sound effects and how sound is made kind of just in general. In case you don't know who I am, I'm Yufu. I'm a UWACC alum, did directing for ACE and was also part of Waterboys. To start off, what we're going to do is just kind of relax the face and kind of get used to just being a little bit silly, because when we're trying to make all these sounds, we're going to be making dumb faces and we have to be comfortable and relaxed, right? So let's start off with some lip trills. We're just going to do... I do want you to follow along with me. Sometimes I'll be moving a little bit fast, so feel free to pause or do whatever. So you can really play around with the sound. And a lot of these you'll find will take a little bit of time for you to find the sweet spot. Maybe like you won't find it today, but you'll find it some other time. All right, back into this. Let's do some lip trills. You can even play around with the sound of it. Now I want you to kind of massage your face while you're doing it. Maybe shake your face around. So the first sound that we're gonna do is the vocal trumpet. There's two main ways of making the trumpet, and one of them has a fun alternative to make kind of like a synth-like sound. So we're gonna start off with the harder one, but also the one that allows you to do the synth sound. I want to first demonstrate it. It sounds like... And what I'm doing, you might already notice with my mouth shape, is I'm doing a V sound. So start out by just saying V, van, vortex, right? Just get that feel of the V sound, and you'll, once you find the sweet spot, and even if you're just doing it now, you will feel a little bit of buzzing and tingling in your lips. So that is expected, and it will go away once you get a little bit more used to it. So now let's try just holding a sound on the V. So just and just playing around with the mouth shape, right? The key to finding or to learning a lot of these sounds is to find that sweet spot that allows you to create the sound correctly. What I found the best way to do it for this sound is to be using head voice. So what we're going to do is now use the V shape, and you should already be beginning to feel a little bit of vibration and getting that trumpety sound. Now, if you're not finding it, that's absolutely okay. Just spend some time playing around with it. Again, feel free to pause the video to do that. I'll try doing that again. So I'm doing what woodwind players would call tonguing, which is I'm basically just saying T. Two, 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 two. Two, 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 two is what I'm doing. And then you can just sing notes on top of that. And for that vibrato that I'm getting on top of it, it's actually a technique I learned, which is kind of pushing the air faster and slower. It's basically doing which is fake vibrato, basically. So the cool part about the sound is that you can also change it up to make it into a more synth-like sound. I'm going to demonstrate that. It's a little bit whiny and very like nasal. It makes sense from the nature of where the sound comes from, which is basically I'm humming instead of singing out of my mouth. So let's try that first. We're just going to sing hoo, right? Hoo. And then from there, hum. So you feel the air and the sound is coming out of your mouth versus out of your nose. Now we're going to try to do the same thing for... The sound is coming straight out of your mouth, right? You should be, all the support, all the air is coming out of your mouth. Try doing what you do when you hum, and then create that shape. And you should be able to get that sound. Now, I actually used this sound for one of our, one of the songs I did for a group called Please Let Us In. The song was Young Menace. And if you know the song, it's, at the beginning it goes... Let's just say that you can actually use these sounds in the context of acapella. You'll notice that I did... And that's kind of to re-articulate the sound. You can also and a fun thing that's a beatboxer named Kenny Urban likes to do. He actually does it with two fingers. I can't do it, so I'm gonna use it with two hands, and it goes. And it's just a fun sound. It's kind of dumb, but you know, party tricks. Second trumpet sound sounds like this. And now it sounds quite similar, but it's a little bit more natural soundy, a little bit less synth soundy, and a little bit more warm. To do this, we're going to start by just blowing air lightly out of our mouths, leaving a small gap anywhere along the lips. And make sure your lips are relaxed. You'll notice that my lips or my cheeks actually pop out a little bit. And that's to show that it's relaxed. If it's not, it sounds a lot more forced. Now from here, same thing, find the sweet spot with falsetto. And you notice that for my final refined sound, I am actually tucking my lips in a little bit, so I'm not just letting them implode. And there's slightly different sounds too, so feel free to play around with it, record yourself to see what it sounds like, and find just the right sound that you're trying to go for. That is the other vocal trumpet, and often when you see people doing vocal trumpet, that's the one they're doing. The next thing we're going to do is the erhu sound. Now, if you don't know the erhu, it's a Asian string instrument that has two strings. It's kind of a cello-ish, but like not really. It has a very distinct sound. And it sounds like... It is a very distinct sound, and if you've played any like Asian game, or if you hear like Asian music, often enough, if there's something like super emotional or slow and like whatnot, you will hear one of these guys. So now how to do it. You're going to make the sound. Basically, I'm doing kind of like an R sound. My tongue is kind of curled up. And like it's almost cupping the entirety of my mouth. And only the very front has an opening for sound to come out. From there, to refine the sound, I push this tongue up just a little bit more, just to get it to be a little bit more bright, to accentuate that sound a little bit more. So I'm just forcing it just a little bit more, again, finding the sweet spot. We had a group called Whitey Bitey's where we did My Shiny Teeth and Me. We did... I don't remember the rest, but something like that. We're going to jump into something that's a little bit less practical in the sound effects world, but I think this is really important. Now, I'm going to overgeneralize this, and it's called vowel shapes. But really, it's overtones. How overtones sound, in case you don't know what they are, is basically it sounds like you're singing two notes at once. There's the one note that I'm singing, and then one really high, kind of like a whistle pitch sound. And it sounds like this. Basically what's happening is you're not actually singing two notes at once. Whenever you sing a note, or if in nature there's any sound that's created, what's actually happening is you're creating a bunch of other notes on top of the note that you're playing. If you're into math, or if you like understanding how like all of this really works, imagine if you were to plug a string, it kind of vibrates at one frequency, right? What happens is if you take that frequency and you keep multiplying by 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, etc. indefinitely, that's how you get the overtone series. So I'm going to demonstrate that. What you actually get from that is, say you're playing C, when you double the frequency, it's up an octave, then triple, a fifth, quadruple, 5 times is a major third, and then a perfect fifth, a minor seventh, so you have a dominant seventh chord on top of that, and then 1, 2, 3, kind of, and it just kind of goes on from there. And it's really cool from a theory perspective because we just laid out like the power chord and a major triad and dominant seventh. But moving away from the theory, basically when you're doing overtones is I'm creating a chamber in my mouth that resonates exactly one of these overtones, and then you can hear exactly that one note. To do it, it's actually very similar to the erhu. In fact, the erhu is basically doing this sound, except only for one specific note. So what you're gonna do is, let's say this is your tongue, right? This is the front of your mouth. You're gonna raise the tip of your tongue to touch the hard palate, and then from there you're gonna spread your tongue to cover the rest of your hard palate, or to spread all the way across your teeth, so that if you were to breathe out air doesn't actually come out. If I were to apply that while I'm breathing air out, I'm actually blocking off all the sound. Ultimately, you want to create a chamber with your tongue so that the sound, one specific frequency, can resonate. From here, I would recommend picking a note that's slightly higher, but still chest. You want a full sound so that you have as much frequency information as possible, as much overtone information as possible, if you will. We're going to try just doing that. And you're going to notice you don't really hear anything yet. The key part here is that you actually want to change your lip shape and your tongue shape to get just the right sound. So there's kind of two ways to doing that. One, you can change your lip shape, which I'm going to do. And so for that one, I was only moving my lips. I wasn't moving my tongue at all. Now next one, I'm going to move only my tongue and not my lips. And so this time you'll notice that I didn't move my lips, or I didn't move my lips much, and I mainly moved my tongue. So those are two things I'm doing. So my tongue, because you can't actually see, I'm actually just pushing it kind of up slowly and then bringing it down, which basically I'm changing the size of that concave, the resonant chamber that I've created to resonate that sound. And so the smaller the chamber is, the higher pitch the sound is going to be. To kind of express how I learned the sound, it's really silly. I had just learned how to do the sound not very well, but I was going on a camping trip with a bunch of concert band people, and I would not stop doing the sound. I swear everyone hated me, but like every moment that I could, you would just hear me being like, and it was like, shut up, what are you doing? But it was after that I was able to get such good resonance in my overtones, just because of the raw amount of practice I put in. So really, for each of these sounds, it's really important for you to just spend the time with it, get the sweet spot. And for this one, it'll probably take a little bit of time for you to be able to hear your own overtones and to be able to find the sweet spot to really let it resonate. Because often enough, you'll be able to do them, but the sound it's not quite as clear. A fun trick that I discovered that will help is if you actually block your nose. I don't fully understand how this works. I'm assuming that the fundamental, which is the note that you're singing, comes out of the nose, and the resonant comes out of your mouth, the overtone. So if you do, and if you do, it kind of muffles out the fundamental and makes the overtone a lot louder. At the beginning, I actually briefly said this is kind of an overgeneralization to vowel shapes. Really, vowels are just a different set of accentuated overtones. So for example, if you sing ooh, it sounds kind of dull and muddy, and that's because there's less overtones, there's less of the bright notes that makes the sound interesting. Well, if you sing e, or if you make it really nasally, it sounds really bright, and that nasal sound comes from overtones in that specific region, and our brain has recognized those to be that nasal sound. But it's not just vowels. If you take any, for example, a guitar, playing a violin, playing a clarinet, or anything, those all have a very distinct set of harmonics, overtones that are being produced by that sound, and that's how we recognize that to be that particular timbre, that particular sound, which is really interesting when you start thinking about it that way, and you can start regenerating the same sound just by doing that.